Happy New Year! I have 6 things for you, the professional woodworker, that you need to do straight away. With the new year, this is a good time to kind of reset and start afresh. Hi, my name's Roger Kugler. This is Working at Woodworking Podcast, where I hope to encourage you to start your own woodworking business. And if you already are in business, give you some tips and tricks to make you more efficient and more profitable. Well, I hope you had a chance to get some of those shop projects done over the holiday break. I actually ended up working a little more than I had planned, but I did get 2 projects done. One, I finished building my overhead table saw blade guard and dust collector, just like the ones you see on those big European sliding combination table saws, but mine's much smaller, like a 10-inch contractor saw. My second project, I removed the fan and motor from my downdraft / workbench / assembly table / outfeed table because I really wasn't using it anymore. Not since I switched over to Festool sanders. We'll probably have a episode about that. And I wanted to use the space to store my Festool dust extractor, the vacuum. It's neat, it's compact, the hose and electrical cord management is so much better. I'm not tripping over things anymore. So I did get that done. Kind of psyched about it. So what are these 6 things that I'm going to encourage you to do this very first part of a new year? Well, the first thing you need to do, or I suggest you do, is call the herd. I don't mean like yodeling for your cows to come in. I mean cutting some of the product offerings that you have, especially if you're really big on online sales, Etsy, that type of thing. You have 10, 20, 100 different items that you're selling. You need to get rid of some of them. Call the herd. So what do you get rid of? Well, as you go through doing your taxes and doing your books, compiling your sales figures, which of course you should already be up to date on, maybe, catch up last week. Yeah, nobody does that. You're going to see some things sold really well and some things didn't sell very well. So we get rid of the things that didn't sell very well. Yeah, not necessarily. There's kind of more to it than that. You have to go through and look at each item. Did it sell? Did you make a profit on that sale? Because you can sell a whole bunch of stuff, but if you're not making profit on it, well, it's costing you money. So what did you make a profit from last year? And it's not necessarily a slam dunk. I mean, if you're kind of catching the front edge of a wave, of a trend, you could be riding high, in 6 months. And the other thing is, do you enjoy making that particular item? If you enjoy it and it's selling okay and you're making some money on it, well, good deal. Your best seller, the one you make a boatload of money from, you may actually hate making those things. And if you hate it that much, what's the idea of going into business for yourself so that you could do things that you wanted to do to make the money that you wanted to make but now you're making stuff that you hate to make because you're making the money? I'm confused. And you probably are too. So really take a look at what you make, what you sell, what you make a profit from, and what you enjoy. Now, if you're one of those multitaskers out there, stop. Multitasking is a myth. We don't do well at multitasking. If you do 3 things at once, you're not doing any of them well. And just because you have for sale 33 different items, you're probably only making your money off of 3 of those. This is where the Pareto principle comes up again. So take a real hard look at this and get rid of some of the stuff that you really probably don't need. I used to make, I probably had at least a dozen, maybe 18 different items on Etsy. And over the years, especially whenever we went into the unpleasantness, I got rid of a bunch of stuff. They're not selling very much, and I just don't need those in my life. And I am so happy I did that. Things are so much simpler now. I'm not trying to juggle like 14 different chainsaws all at once. So item number 2, you need to add some more items to your offering. I know, it sounds contradictory. Well, if you mainly do furniture repair, probably not a big deal for you. If you are really doing some custom cabinetry work, probably not a big deal for you. However, I would really encourage you maybe to catch some trade shows this spring, see what's out there, visit some showrooms, see what the really expensive brands are bringing to the market, and you might be able to pick up something, then add to your repertoire and really satisfy your customers well. If you're doing most of your work on Etsy, add something new. It kind of keeps it fresh. It gives people something else to look at, something else to get excited about, something else to advertise, and it can bring a really good spotlight to your overall offering. And this isn't terribly hard. You've probably had people asking you, well, do you make XYZ, or can you make ABC? Those requests are gold, because that is a customer who easily could represent 100 other people asking you to do something. Give that a tremendous amount of thought. That is kind of a quick and easy, marketing avenue that you can pursue. And come on, let's face it. Just how long are charcuterie boards really going to be around? Seriously. Okay, number 3, raise your prices. I know. I say that every single year. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but at least look at the prices that you are charging. Now, these have been a very, shall we say, unique last 3 or 4 years. Right now, the Consumer Price Index for goods and services minus energy and food is at 4%. Now, generally, the CPI and the inflation rate kind of go hand in hand, but not always. But it's helpful if we kind of dig down into this a little bit more. If we look at the Consumer Price Index for all items, it's about 3%. I've rounded these to the nearest whole integer. We don't do well with numbers in the air, so I'm not going to add to that confusion by throwing in decimal points. So goods and services is about 4%. Overall, it's about 3%. Food is averaging around 3% increase over last year. Energy is, what's this? Energy is down 5%. How does that happen? Well, if we dig into the numbers a little bit more, we can see the fuel oil is down 25%. Now, anyone who is using fuel oil, you probably already know this and you're probably celebrating. Gasoline is down 9%. Yay, that's so volatile, pun intended. It goes up and down, and it's almost like, who cares anymore? Natural gas is down 10%. Yay. Oh, that's interesting. Electricity is up 3%. Other contributors to the CPI, shelter, which would be like rents and mortgage and payments and so on and so forth, up 7%. Medical services down 1%, which is really good whenever you send your fingers through a spinning blade and have to, get surgery. Except when you go to the hospital to have this done, it's going to cost you an extra 6%. So keep the meat sausages out of the spinning blade. Transportation to get to the hospital is also up 10%. Transportation as a sector is higher than last year, and the majority of that increase comes from auto insurance, up 19%. Now, here's a kind of a personal tip. I have an incredibly good auto insurance that is not available to the general public. And they actually contacted me a couple years ago and said, in light of everything that's going on, are you still driving the average 15,000 miles a year? No, I am not. And to be quite honest, I haven't driven 15,000 miles a year in, decades. And they said, let's lower your annual mileage and we can reduce your insurance cost. Brilliant! Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Because honestly, I just don't drive that much anymore. I mean, we don't take great big long vacations, across the country. So you might contact your insurance company and see if they can knock off a few bucks. Now, if we look at the inflation numbers, 2023, the average is right now, as of November, 3%. Wow, that is so great. Well, yeah, it is great. In 22, it was 7%. 21, it averaged around 7%. And in 20, it was only 1%. And from about 2016 onward, it averaged about 2%. Don't get all excited about this. 3% is not a good number. So if you were going to buy a tool in 2020 that cost $100, how much would you have to spend for that same tool right now? Well, according to the inflation rate, it would be $116.24. So just because the rate goes down, it doesn't mean it has reverted. It just means that the rate of increase or decrease has changed. So, over the last 3 years, prices are high. I probably don't need to tell you that. So don't get all that excited about the inflation rate. And if we look a little closer to home, if we look at the hardwood lumber on the producer price index, last year in May, it was 316 points. Right now, it's 250 points. But in January of 2000, it was sitting at 202 points. So prices have gone up and they've come down a little. Around 2018, I was paying $3.79 for white oak 4-quarter first or better. In February of 21, I was paying $4.79 a board foot. In August of 22, $6.80 a board foot. This is when one of my products just disappeared from the sales chart. It just went away. I tried to absorb some of that money, some of that price increase. I tried to pass some of that to the customer in a price increase. Just nothing was moving. It was just dead on arrival. Now, in August of 23, I paid $4.40 a board foot. Your prices may vary due to your location. I'm in literally like the white oak capital of the world. So it's pretty economical for me. There's not very much transportation cost involved. So how much should you raise your prices? Well, if everything's going up about 4%, if you were charging $50 an hour and you're going to increase 4% to stay with everybody else, I mean, that's $2. It's not that much. So now you're charging $52. I don't think anybody is going to throw a fit and accuse you of price gouging. People just don't pay that much attention. But that's not the only thing that you need to consider. You may have gotten much better at your craft over the last 12 months. If it took you 2 hours to do, let's say, a furniture repair, and you've got that down to an hour and a half, well, don't cut your own throat by only charging an hour and a half. What you did is still worth the same amount of money and maybe a little more. So as your skills increase, your prices should also reflect that. And if you're not raising your prices as your skills increase, sure, you can argue that, well, I can get a lot more done during the day. Yeah, but you're getting it done at a discount compared to what you used to be paid. That would be like if you were an employee of a woodworking shop and making $25 an hour and you were getting really, really good at doing something, and the employer says, he's really good at that. I'm going to pay him $20 an hour now. Whoa, that doesn't work. So consider that. How much is your mechanic charging? How much is your plumber charging? You can kind of get a gauge off of what other trades are charging in the marketplace. That almost sounds like an episode. We'll have to see about that. Okay, number 4, taxes. Yeah, you knew I was going to mention that, didn't you? If you haven't listened to episode 65, which I recorded exactly a year ago, go back and listen to that. There's no real significant changes in the tax code from 22 to 23. Some of the deductions have gone up a bit, things like that. But there's nothing, super. Remember that $600 third-party payment processor threshold thing? That's totally gone now. So, well, it's gone for now. Number 5, to-do list. Professionally, personally, and family. So let's talk about the professional to-do list. These are things that you need to take a few minutes just to kind of evaluate where you are and where you're going. If you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it every time. So set out some goals. Where's your business at right now? Where was your business? And what do you want it to be next year? 5 years, 10 years. It is so easy just to kind of get bogged down into the minutia, the day-to-day, the job-to-job type thing that, you wake up and 5 or 7 years later and it's like, whoa, I need to make a change here. I know that if you're sitting there doing a day job right now, and you're really thinking about starting your own business, this sounds really bizarre. But you've probably experienced this in your day job, where you just go in, you punch in, you do the work, you drive home, and you get up the next morning and you do it again. I mean, it's routine. It's what we humans do. But just take a few minutes, maybe a hot beverage or perhaps a cold beverage, and do some brainstorming. What do you want to be doing in 5 years? What do you want this to look like? And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the sound of our postal delivery service. So I can't really overemphasize the importance of doing this. So, grab a piece of paper, start jotting some things down, or maybe move some electrons around on the magic box. Oh, what's that? You don't have a business yet? Well, let's take a moment to hear a word from our sponsors. Are you tired of the 9 to 5? Do you long for independence? Have you dreamed of having a small business where you can set your own hours, choosing any 12 hours out of the 24-hour day you want, working 6 or 7 days a week. Well, if this sounds like you, why haven't you started it yet? Maybe you just need a little help, a little advice, a gentle shove. Hi, my name is Roger Kugler, and here at Working at Woodworking, I am available to help you on your journey to a new work life. Maybe you need a tough, hard-nosed drill instructor to get you over the hump. Listen here, you wharf rat, bilge puke. You need to get your beep together, son, or I'm going to rip your head off and beep and beep and beep. Do you hear me, you pollywog piece of excrement? Or maybe you're looking... God, I crack myself up sometimes. Or maybe you're looking for some advice from your redneck uncle. Well, sounds like a good idea. Pretty easy to get city folk to pay good money to get you to do something they could do if they knew how to use a hammer and duct tape. Shoot, I bet you could make $1 million doing that. Or perhaps you need something in between. Check out our coaching options at workingatwoodworking.com. Call or email so we can get your new career underway. Now, don't forget about your personal and family goals. You need to improve. You need to learn something. You need to expand and grow. Take an art class. Learn a computer program. Something I kind of dove into was 2D drawing. I had one of those duh moments over the break in that I've always struggled with trying to move away from the drafting board into the computer drafting realm. And I was watching Peter Millard, the British woodworker, talk about his struggle with using SketchUp to do his shop drawings, which he's selling. But he said he was spending as much time using SketchUp to make these drawings as he was, actually building the projects. And he needed something simpler, something just a 2D drawing program. And he found something for his Apple. I don't use Apple. I don't use Windows. So I did a quick search on Linux, free, and came up with Inkscape. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? I've been using Inkscape for, decades. It's free, and it's also available for Windows and Apple users. But it's a drawing program. And I did another Google search on how to draw furniture plans using Inkscape. And I came up with 12 different videos. OMG, why have I been this dense for so long? Don't answer that. So I've had a whole bunch of fun learning how to manipulate and draw straight lines without using a pencil and paper. So find something personally, maybe also professionally, that would kind of nudge you forward in your career path. And of course, family. Don't forget the family. Set goals, talk it over with the family members, see what you want to do this year. Okay, enough of that. Number 6, and the final. You need to start shopping. Say what? Yeah, I know, it's the end of Christmas is over. You've probably been shopped to death. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about shopping insurance. Insurance is one of those things that, it's kind of insidious. Once they get you, they got you. And studies have shown that some people would rather get a root canal than they would change insurance companies. And this is where they really get you, because they can keep raising those prices. Oh, well, things are just so much more expensive now. And you just keep on paying it. Shop around. You may find just going to a different company, a different carrier, you could reduce your insurance bill 10%, 20%, 50%. Just do shopping. Now, I'm talking about, homeowners insurance, vehicle insurance. You saw the 16% or 19% auto insurance increase. Your business insurance, your health insurance, although you may not have a whole bunch of options there. Commodities, heating oil. We see that that's down. Propane, so these everyday things, these commodities, just don't assume that you have to pay the dollar that you're paying. Shop those and you might be able to save some money. Okay, that's it. Those are the 6 things that you need to add to your list to get done in the next, 3 to maybe, 40 hours. I'd like to do a big shout out to James. James bought me 5 cups of coffee, and he included a little note that with his permission, I'm reading, you deserve far more than 5 cups of coffee, and next time I'll get you a pot. I've been a hobbyist woodworker for over 30 years and decided to put my shingle out early this year. Your advice has been perfect for someone with a one-person shop. After listening to you, I've started exploring not just building what is realistic for Etsy, but random jobs and furniture repairs. There's an entire gold mine, and many of the people in my area are limited in their ability to do not much beyond pocket screws. So thank you for passing your knowledge on. Well, thank you, James. I really appreciate that. And remember, Working at Woodworking is targeted at the one-person shop. If you have employees, you are way out of my league. So good luck with that. And if you would like to sponsor a episode of Working at Woodworking, you can certainly do that. It cost me around $40 an episode to do this. Well, that's actually not counting my time. So if you'd like to kick me a few dollars, I would greatly appreciate it. Recommendations, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, there's a really cool inflation calculator that I found that shows you how inflation numbers have changed over the years. I'll put all those into the show notes. Missed jobs. It's been quiet. Yeah. No phone calls, no emails, just nice and quiet. Until a couple of days ago, I got a phone call from a sweet lady who had a table leg broken, and I ended up with another job. Special thanks to listeners in Phoenix, Arizona, Dublin, Ireland, and one listener in Argentina. If you'd like to support my show, you can find the link to buy me a cup of coffee in the show notes. And of course, you can always make a donation directly by going to workingatwoodworking.com. And remember, never trust a woodworker who says they have enough clamps. Happy woodworking.